Oi, oi. It's me again, Chris, your favourite podcaster. Wow, I'm going to coin myself that. I'm not sure if it's true. Excuse me. Oh, I'm still a little bit under the weather. I feel like when I get a cold, it kind of lingers. It hangs around for ages. Not that the peak is around, not like the strongest part of the cold hangs around, but just like a little grumbling of the cold is still lingering. Like I have to blow my nose, I don't know, every hour, just once. It's just so annoying. Maybe it's getting old and getting weaker. But I do eat a lot of fruit and that kind of thing, so I'm not really sure why, but anyway. Alright, so it's me again, by myself, on my Jack Jones, which means to be by yourself. And we're going to be talking about, what's this This podcast is going to be called, it's all about awkward moments. There's going to be some good phrases in here, some good phrasal verbs, some natural British English, so I hope you enjoy. Today, I want to talk about something we all experience, no matter how confident we look on the outside. Not that I do. And that's awkward moments. Awkward moments. When I travel around and people ask me, what's British culture? Being awkward has to be around the top of the list, for sure. We are very awkward people in the UK. We're not like the USA, when they're cool, and they got their movies and their cars. We're very awkward people, okay? That's probably why we like to make fun of ourselves all the time. Because we know we're a bit awkward. Anyway, so awkward moments. Moments that make you physically cringe when you think about them years later. Moments that suddenly pop into your head when you're trying to fall asleep. Maybe it's something you said. Maybe it's something you didn't say. Or maybe it's just a long, painful silence that feels like it lasted forever. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life. A story I actually haven't told many people. So if you can, right, make sure you keep it between me and you. All right, keep it to yourself. I don't want people laughing at me. By the way, very important, if you want to listen to this podcast and read the text at the same time, you can download a transcript below. Just click the link, type in your email, and then search for the correct episode number on the PDF. Anyway, this is Mind Your English. My name is Chris. Let's jump in. All right, let's start with something simple. I still remember moments from years ago that probably meant nothing to anyone else, but to me they felt huge, massive. Like trying to start a conversation and immediately realizing it's going nowhere. Or saying something that sounded fine in my head, but weird out loud, okay? Now, here's a little mini story before we jump into the big story. A few years ago, I went to a party and I tried to start a conversation with someone. I wanted to impress them, right? I wanted to sound interesting, confident. Instead, I completely blurted out something strange and immediately tripped over my words. I won't tell you what I said, but I blurted out something stupid. So I think this can be one of my biggest flaws. Probably it is one of my biggest flaws, I'd say. I get too excited or anxious to get the joke out or the story out, and it ends up coming out all wrong or without enough context. So people are just like, what are you talking about? Anyway, so it's just kind of that thing, when your mouth is moving faster than your brain, and the other person would give me that kind of polite smile, the one that says like, I don't want to be rude, but this is awkward. Normally we would just stand there for a few seconds and then someone else would come over and rescue the conversation, of course. But on this occasion, I decided to go for the classic move, the move that always works for me when I get into a sticky situation with another person, when I'm with another person at a party. I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, I want to leave. What I do is, all right, this is a golden rule. Drink your alcoholic drink as quick as possible, right? Your alcoholic beverage, drink it as quick as possible, and then tell the person you're going to the toilet. Okay, you do go to the toilet, and then you get another drink. There you are. You can move to another group. You can find another person. That's what I always do. I get out of awkward situations by basically drinking my drink as quick as possible, and then going to the bathroom, and then finding another group to humiliate myself in front of. Anyway, let's dive into the actual story. Right, this moment, this awkward moment, still makes me laugh now and cringe, maybe at the same time. So I was at university studying for my literature and language degree, right, in Manchester, in the north of the UK. And I was in a language class. We were discussing language, and I was sitting with a room full of students from different parts of the country, but most of them were from the north. I was one of very few, if not maybe the only one from the south, okay? So the south being below Birmingham. And at one point, the professor, decided to talk about pronunciation, specifically the bath trap split. At this point, I wasn't too aware of this. I didn't know too much about it. So she asked the room, is anyone from the south? Okay. I stupidly put my hand up and I said, yeah, me. Because I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be cool. Right? I'm the only southerner here. So she wanted a real example of a southerner's accent in general. Okay, so she looked straight at me and said something like, can you read this word for me? There was a word on the board, on the whiteboard. The word was BATH. I'm not going to read out yet. But in that moment, my brain completely shut down. I panicked. I didn't think. And instead of saying bath, right? That's what she wanted. I read it as bathe. I just panicked. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, it's not bath. It's not bath. Bathe. And then that, of course, was completely wrong. Everyone looked at me like, you can't read. You're in a literature and language degree. You can't read a word. So everyone was looking at me. I was horrified, of course. There was obviously a lot of silence. And the teacher smiled and she sort of looked at me and she said, no, that's bathe. And she added the E onto the word. That's bathe. So bathe is BATHE. So then she kind of looked around the room again like, well, I'll do this then. And she said, the difference between the southern accent in general and the northern accent is the bath trap split. Bath with the elongated A sound, bath, and the north, bath, which is kind of closer to the US version. Anyway, I just wanted the ground to swallow me up, right? To open up and swallow me up because I was horrified. I was humiliated. The irony was painful, of course. I was there to demonstrate pronunciation. I messed it up. But looking back now, that moment actually taught me something important. Everyone, even people who study language, freeze up, mess up, and say the wrong thing sometimes. And I think it's just about still putting yourself out there to make that kind of mistake helps you to learn way more. Because I'm never going to make that mistake again. And the whole idea of the bath trap split, teaching that part of pronunciation has stuck with me. And I wonder why. It's probably because it was horrifying for me. And so, yeah, looking back, now time has passed, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a great thing. So why do these moments stay with us? Well, mostly because we overthink them. We replay them in our heads. We go over every detail. We imagine how we looked, how we sounded, what everyone must have thought. Chris is an idiot. He can't read. So, I've done this more times than I can count, of course. I lie in bed and suddenly remember something awkward from years ago and I think, why did I say that? But here's the thing. Most of the time, the other people have moved on. They have moved on. They probably don't remember it at all. We're the ones holding on to it. Eventually, you'd hope, these moments turn into stories we bring up with friends. We laugh about them. We laugh them off. So when you laugh something off, you make fun of a situation to get over it, to move on. For me, one of the best things about awkward moments is that they are relatable. When you share an awkward story, people usually lighten up. They relax. They realize they're not alone. Awkward moments can actually break the ice. They give people permission to be imperfect, which I definitely am. And when someone opens up about an awkward experience, others usually follow. This is powerful, especially in another language. I recommend you do this when you meet other people. Don't be worried about making mistakes. It's perfectly fine. And you know what? It might even help you make friends. And I think it's really important to laugh at yourself. And maybe this is a British thing again, but I think it's really important to have this ability to let your ego step aside and laugh at yourself. Something that changes as you get older, and honestly as your confidence grows, is how you deal with awkwardness. When I was younger, moments like that university story would completely knock me sideways. I'd dwell on them, chew them over, and convince myself everyone thought I was an idiot. Now, I know I'm an idiot. No, I still cringe, but I'm only human. But I don't make a big deal of it. I don't make a big deal out of it anymore. There's a very British thing we do where we take the mick out of ourselves. I mentioned this before, but it's a nice phrase, to take the mick out of yourself. Okay, or just to take the mick, to make fun of situations, of other people, of yourself, to take the mick. So in British culture, we use humour as a shield. If we can laugh first, it somehow takes the sting out of the situation. I've even noticed that when I tell stories like the bath story, people don't judge me now. Okay, they usually say something like, "Oh mate, it happens to all of us." And they're right. At the end of the day, awkward moments are rarely as bad as we think they are. Most people are too busy worrying about their own mistakes to focus on yours. And I want you to kind of take this into language learning, well, into your life in general. It's good to make mistakes. It's good to be awkward. It's good to put yourself out there and take risks. Because happiness, and I heard this in another podcast and it really stuck with me, happiness or achieving happiness is on the other side of awkwardness or on the other side of embarrassment. So trying to get over that, putting yourself in a situation where you might be embarrassed, is the quickest way to get to happiness, I promise you. So there's one thing I want you to take away from this episode. It's this. Don't be so hard on yourself. We all put our foot in it sometimes. We all say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person. And if you learn English, that's not a failure, that's part of the process. You're going to mess up. You're going to freeze up. You're probably going to say something that makes you want the ground to swallow you whole, right? To swallow you up. But those moments, they're proof you're actually using the language. So next time something awkward happens, try to brush it off, have a laugh, and maybe you can have a bit of a moan about it to a friend later. That's extremely British. Have a moan and take the mick out of yourself. If you start doing those things and you speak English, you are basically British or British. So, brilliant. Well, that's another episode concluded. Let me know if you're enjoying this podcast. I love making these. I'll be doing some more interviews very soon. Hopefully you enjoyed the one with Tom in the previous episode. I think I'm going to be meeting a friend in a couple of days to record another episode, which is going to be really fun. And make sure that you leave me a little comment, rate the podcast. It would help me a lot. Let me know what you want to learn next. And of course, download the PDF so you can pick up some new vocabulary or some new phrases. So thanks for listening. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next episode.